Welcome to Author's Tales, where we go beyond the words and into the heart of the storyteller.
Every book holds a story, but beyond the pages lies something even greater: the journey. The long nights, the countless rewrites, the moment when doubt whispers and passion shouts back louder. This is where authors share their truth, the struggles, the breakthroughs, and the moments that made them believe in their story.
If you love a great story or dream of writing your own, you're in the right place.
Because every book has a voice, every author has a tale, and the best stories, they don't just get told, they get lived.
This is Author's Tales, where stories come to life. Shelly, wow, thank you so much for being on Author's Tales. How are you this morning?
I am great. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh my goodness. And it is early for you, right? It's I know you're in California, I'm in New York, and but you even said it's no big deal because I am an early morning person.
Yeah, kind of early morning. I do like the gym early, but I would also like to sleep in. But yeah, I'm getting earlier as I age here. I decided it's better to get up earlier.
You know, they say it's that theta stage that we get into when we get up early, right? So you're more creative, the juices are flowing. So
That's
today
true.
I'm super excited for our conversation because we are going to be talking about your book, an
Yep.
incredible book that you wrote, and the title is just so incredible: Pain-Free, Drug-Free.
Yeah, some people mix it up with like some sort of recovery story, but really it's just recovering from autoimmune disease and doing it without drugs. So yeah, it kind of just stuck as soon as that recommendation came out to me. I was like, you know what? That one sounds right.
Yeah, it is. It's a great cover.
Thank you.
I love that image of you, right? It's like, here I am, warrior soul. I'm ready to capture the day.
Yeah.
Um, so talk to us about the book and what was the catalyst for you to write this book?
Well, let's see. When I was 28, I got super sick one day, just out at a restaurant, and just for some reason couldn't hold anything in. And then it just kept going for weeks, and then months, and then years. And my body just was shutting down, liver, kidneys, everything shutting down. And it took 10 years for a diagnosis of lupus. But I struggled with my health for quite a while. And then and buried myself out of it. I dug
Mm,
myself out of the trenches and did it all holistically, dumped all the drugs because the doctors had me on every drug imaginable. Instantly, they put me on, prednisone, and then that caused other problems with my body. So then they put me on more drugs to mask those and just keep putting Band-Aids all over me. And so I think I had a total of about 12 medications at one point, and
mm.
I just told my doctors, I'm done. And so I ditched them. And then when I did that, I worked holistically, and that's a whole nother story to get myself feeling better. And so then later in life, as I went back to teaching fitness classes and martial arts, people would say, oh, I have this going on. And then I talk to them, and then I tell them my story. And somebody just said one day, you should really write a book. And I was like, oh, ha ha, whatever. Then the next person said it, and the next person said it. And so I finally just decided to write my book, share my story, share my toolbox of what I did to help myself then. And, it evolves and changes. And I think I've got about another 5 books in me since then of what I could write about with my health. But really, it was just people encouraging me to write it because I was helping them just with my story, not because I was a doctor, not because I was anything special, just that I lived it. And I
Mm.
literally lived through it, and here I am on the other side of it, healthier than I've ever been in my entire life. So,
It's incredible when someone is constantly seeing, and I love that fact that you wrote it in your book, that you have to trust the doctors because after all, they went to school, they did all these things. And you clearly put that in your book, right?
mhm, I
And why shouldn't we believe them? They're the experts.
that's true.
But one of the things that I believe in, and you and I both are probably on the same page on this one, is that doctors love Band-Aids, and that's usually what a prescription is for them, so that you keep coming back, because guess what? You need another Band-Aid, right?
Yeah,
And you said, "Enough with those." You started ripping those Band-Aids off, huh?
I did. Yeah. Yeah. They told me I wouldn't live. They said, "You're going to die before you're 40 years old." And I'm 54 today.
Woohoo!
So, I mean, they were, wrong, and they like to be wrong. I still see some of the same doctors over all these years, and I'll tell you, not all doctors are awful. I've got a lot of great, amazing doctors who love to work with my holistic lifestyle. I mean, I still go in for blood tests all the time. If there's something that they're like, "Oh, this is a little off. We think you should take this, and why don't you take it to your naturopath and see what they say?" And I do. So I'm super blessed with that. And I think everybody needs doctors, but we, especially for all the labs and everything else that we need. So it's,
I
it's,
love I love
yeah, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah, and you talk about changing your mindset as the
Mm,
first step to improving your health and quality of life, right? Once
absolutely.
your mindset is in the right place,
Yeah, everything's
everything
possible.
everything changes, doesn't it?
Mhm. It does. Absolutely.
So you said, "Everything I'm doing, I'm following the guides from these experts. It's not working for me." And that they couldn't tell you exactly what was wrong with you.
No, they couldn't. And that was the thing is they were like, "Well, it has to be something. We just need to give you prednisone to let your organs work because
Mm,
nothing is working." And so they put me on that. They put me on that to try to get my body to stop rejecting food and water. I couldn't
mm,
have anything in my body. It would come out. And it was just a completely bizarre thing. Nobody knew what it was. And it was, you got to remember, this is also before, the internet. It was
mhm,
brand new. So it was before all of the social media or groups that people are in and everything that is out there now, which is such an incredible tool for so many people. So it was really, I was reading books. And I would go to the library, I would grab some books just on your health, and I would just start reading, and I would just find the right people. And in all honesty, I was driving down the freeway in California, and I was heading towards the beach where I worked down in Orange County, and I had a severe panic attack because one
mm,
of the medications was spinning me out so bad that I would get these panic attacks. And I was in, bumper to bumper traffic, and I got off the freeway and I just turned the corner and I ended up in a parking lot, and I parked my car and I sat there and I looked up, and it was a vitamin shop. And I was like, I'm walking in because I don't know what else to do. I'm literally coming out of my skin. I can't breathe. And
mm.
I get out of my car and I walk in the door, and the lady was all perky and was like, "Hi, how are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know." And she just goes, "Oh my God, sit down." And then she gave me this little thing and said, "Put this under your tongue." And it was called Rescue Remedy. Took
Mm.
away my panic attack like that. And I was like, "What
Wow.
the heck is this?" And this was my whole you know, my first time ever seeing anybody holistically. And it was just a lady in a vitamin shop, but she was so knowledgeable. And she sat me down and she said, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "I have absolutely no idea." And she's like, "Doesn't matter. Let's just start from scratch." And that was it.
Wow.
I ditched
That's
all the drugs
that's
right then. Yeah.
fate. Fate
Fate.
had you, fate, or was it LA traffic? I think it was fate. I think it was
Same.
when you think about, sometimes we encounter people, I'm gonna call them angels, who actually see you, right? Because
Mhm.
this woman saw you. She knew what you needed like that.
Yeah.
When I worked in Manhattan in the Village, there was a shop, a vitamin shop, just like you're talking about, and it was like this little thing, and you would walk to the back, and there was this man there, and he would come out and he'd go, "What do you need?" And
Yeah.
it was like he would read your nails, right?
Uh-huh.
He'd read your
Yeah.
nails, look at my hands, and I'm like, "What's he do? You need this, you need iron, you da 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 da." And I
Yeah.
was like, "Okay, sign me up. I'm here." Right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild, but it works.
But here's the thing, right? Unfortunately, those shops are less and less,
Mhm.
because it, it's a dying art, if you will.
Yeah,
But
it is.
but then we have you. You're helping so many people, not only by writing this incredible book, pain-free, pain-free, drug-free. it's brilliantly put together because it lets somebody go that understand that I don't have to be in the pain anymore, and I don't have to take drugs for it. Every time that you and I see each other, you know how I am, right?
Mhm.
And you go out of your way to make sure I'm okay. And you're just such a powerful person in that regard.
Oh, thank you.
Why do you do it?
Because that's just me, and I love people. I love
Yeah.
people, and I love other people to feel loved, appreciated, feel healthy. To me, it fills my cup when I can help somebody who has been struggling with anything, right? Could be something hormonal, could be something, intestinal, it could be, autoimmune. But when I can help somebody or help them lose weight, because that is a big
Right.
factor in so many people's health is just what they eat. I mean, anti-inflammatory diets can take care of just about anything. So when I can help somebody make one little change in their life that makes them feel just that much better, enough that they want to actually keep going and getting healthier and healthier and healthier, it just makes me smile. I love it because I didn't really have incredible support. I just didn't. I mean, I was a young mom. I had small kids, and it was like I was a nuisance because I wasn't healthy. And
Mm,
and it was like, oh, she's sick again, that kind of stuff. And so nobody listened to me. And
yeah.
doctors would say, "Well, you look great." And I'm like, "Oh, you mean the fact that my hair fell out and my all my fillings fell out of my mouth,
Mm,
my nails were like, terrible?" And like they would just be like, "But you're healthy." And I'm like, "No, I'm
mm,
not." And then then they look at my tests and go, "Wow, your liver and your kidneys are not functioning right. We might have
mm,
to get some factors of." I mean, I did chemotherapy, I did drugs that were for malaria, I did all these
mm,
things that they were putting me on to try all these crazy treatments, and I was like, "How are you not looking at who I am?" And I'm like,
mm,
I was a very active person, and nobody saw me
mm,
and accepted that I needed just somebody to listen.
mm.
So I think that's why I appreciate it so much because it wasn't there for me. I mean, even my own family, they just weren't very supportive of it. My sister's a nurse, so she's very medical, and she's like, "Well, I don't know why you're taking that stuff." Well, now I see
Yeah.
her going a little more this way
Yeah.
because medicine is changing a little.
Yeah.
Most people are seeing it. So I think that's why it just really fills my cup.
Mm.
I love seeing somebody succeed.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
You one of the things that you wrote in your book is that people kept saying it was in your head. You're a hypochondriac.
Mhm.
Should we listen to somebody when they say, "I don't feel right. I don't feel 100%." Or should we go, it's just in your head. You'll be fine tomorrow."
Yeah, it's a tough call because it can go both ways, right? Sometimes
Mm,
it is in their head, and other times there's really something wrong. But I always listen because, especially women, we're very intuitive. And if we actually listen to our natural intuition that, is inside of us, if you know something's wrong, something's wrong. And
mm,
so if we can be in tune to that and not let somebody tell us we're not, like, okay, for instance, if you feel like your husband's cheating on you, he probably is, because you have that feeling, right? So if you're not feeling well and you feel like something's wrong, why would you put that aside? Right? Get
mhm,
a lab test, go to a doctor, start seeing somebody who can maybe help you. So absolutely. I always listen because you just never know. And it could be something as simple as they're eating something that they're allergic to and don't know it or sensitive to, So I do believe that we should always listen. And mindset is everything. I think that people get so wrapped up in how they feel that they get depressed and it gets worse and worse and it just compounds on top of each other. And so when that happens, they can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. All they
mhm,
see and is what they are feeling right now. And so if they're feeling awful, that's what's in their head. They can't even think beyond that and think, "Oh, well, gosh, someday I'm going to feel better." They don't feel that way. So that's where
mhm,
you need somebody to help you to see, like, no, you know what? Let's just make some small steps. Let's crowd some things out of your diet and put some healthier things in. We're not going to stop everything
right.
like you and I could do, but now it took years to do that. But I just think that people need that support. People need people to understand. So if you have a loved one that is feeling that way, listen and help them, guide them any way you can. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
You said an important factor, and I just don't want it to go to the wayside that women, and you said especially women, well, women are so different than men. I mean, entirely different. We have different, even the amount of blood in a man to a woman
Yeah.
is different. Every aspect. Obviously, we don't have menstrual cycles, but some men I think do.
They have their own PMS. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, actually, there is a man
there is.
cycle. There sure is. But women, your whole body changes while you before menopause, obviously,
Mhm.
and your body's changing, and it starts from a early age, and sometimes it's a shock because a young girl, nobody spoke to her as to what's going to happen to them, and then this thing continues for basically practically their whole life until it doesn't. But a lot of times, even the way they eat, women eat,
Mhm.
should be different than men.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100% because our bodies are so different. We're created to do two separate things in with our bodies. And so yes, men do have a cycle. It's like a 24-hour cycle for guys, whereas we have a 30-day cycle.
Mhm.
So it's a whole different thing. And we have parts of our month where we should be eating a certain way. We need to eat, progesterone, higher foods, or we need to eat estrogen supporting foods, in different times, especially if we're looking at menopause, or we're looking at even trying to get pregnant. There's so many different things. People are so quick to go on the birth control pill because of, PCOS or cramps or whatever.
Mhm.
But there's anti-inflammatory diet is really the key factor in our foods. I mean, our foods are missing nutrients. And that's really what that naturopath put me on. She put me on something called homeostatic soil organisms, which is basically probiotics and prebiotics now. And
Right.
but back then she tried to explain to me, it was called the maker's diet. And she's like, listen, whether you're religious or not, when Jesus walked the earth, these things were in the soil.
Mhm.
That's what's missing. And so, now I'm on this variety of supplements because I'm allergic to iodine. So I can't take a
Mm.
multi like everybody else. So
Right.
I'm on a variety of supplements, but it's because it's just replacing things that are missing in the food. But the healthier that I've gotten and the better I've started to eat, and eating with my cycle as well, I've noticed that I can eliminate almost all of my supplements because I'm eating my nutrients now. And when your
Gotcha.
gut is healthy, it's all connected, right? When your gut is healthy, and the gut is really the source of most autoimmune disease. And so my gut was a mess. And so
Mm.
once you really work on your gut and you get your intestines to be porous again and not gunk down with all this stuff that we've been putting in our body for years, because come on, guys, we weren't created to eat Cheetos, like, nobody was eating that back in the, BC era. So, we have to really look at the foods we're eating. And so the more anti-inflammatory we eat, the healthier our body can be. And when that gut can absorb those nutrients, because that's where everything gets absorbed through our body. So if you
Mhm.
have that coating on it, like a film all down it, and not taking good gut health, supplements, probiotics, prebiotics, eating, fermented foods, all these things that can help us, it's just going to gunk that up, and everything's going to just shoot right through. Whereas if they can get those pores again, your nutrients get absorbed. So I've
Mhm.
eliminated most of my supplements. It's great. Just healthy is so many layers. There's so many layers deep. It's mental for sure. And you're right, 100% mental. I mean, you have to make that change. And I'll tell you, I felt bad enough that I had to make the change. Did it happen overnight? Absolutely not. And there was a point where I remember laying in bed, and my kids were little, and I was very involved. I was room mom, team mom, mom for everything, Girl
Right.
Scouts, all that. And I was laying in bed one day, and I couldn't go to my daughter's um, open house at school. And it broke my heart because I was so
Mm.
sick and so weak that I actually said the words out loud, you guys would be better off if I was dead.
Oof.
And I swear that woke me up. And
Mm.
I was out of bed after that, because I was on bed rest for a long time. And I mean, I just couldn't get up. And I understand how people feel when they're so sick and in so much pain and so miserable that those thoughts come into your mind. I would have never done it, but yet I just made that thought, that verbal thought. And that was my, oh, no. You have a life to
There's
live.
your wake-up call. That was
Yeah.
your wake-up call.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's powerful. But did you actually say the words out loud?
I sure did. Yep.
Oh
And
my
I think
goodness.
my husband just went, like, I don't know what to say at this moment. Because I've never been a depressed person. I've never been, I've never had any type of thoughts that would make me say those words, but yet it came out because that's exactly how I was feeling at that moment. And I know there's
Mm,
many, many people that I've talked to who are in chronic pain. It could be migraines, it could be, any sort of chronic pain from an illness, but it it comes into many people's minds, and I can see why the depression would continue. But for me, it was the opposite. I just remember my dad always used to say, you got to have tenacity.
mm.
And that book should have just been named Tenacity because that was the only thing I think that made me here today. But really, the mindset is everything. It truly is. You
Mhm.
cannot make a change until you're willing to make a change. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and when you're willing to make that change, anything can happen. And money, no money, time, no time, it doesn't matter. If you're willing enough to make any change in your life, whether it be monetary, maybe it's getting a new career, maybe it's leaving your husband, maybe it's, whatever, going to travel, whatever it may be, you just have to flip that switch in your head that it's going to be happening. And once you do, I don't see how you can't make it happen.
No.
Yeah.
The mindset is also what helps you set your goals up, right?
Oh
I
yeah.
love what you wrote here is that there's just one thing that separates people who reach their goals and those who don't.
Yeah.
What is that one thing?
Making a decision to do it. It's here. It's all
Mhm.
there. Our mind is our biggest, you know, obstacle that gets in the way of anything we want to do. Even when you get up in the morning and you've got your giant list, which is sitting next to me. I got a list like this today, but you know what? I'll get through it. And I'll even tell myself in the morning, it's just silly stuff. Like I'll be like, you know what? I'm going to knock 20 things off that list by noon. And it's
Mm.
in my head, it's like, okay, you're going to do it. Let's go. Game on, hold my beer. I'm going. Let's do
Oh
it.
my God. I love it.
But yeah,
Well,
that's
I want to share with everybody that here's the QR code. You can scan it, take your phone out, get this book. I mean, it will truly let you understand that you're not alone. Anybody who's going through anything, anybody who needs to make a change in their life, just like Shelly said, whether you need to leave your husband or your wife, because it's going to be healthier in the long run, right? If you guys are like this at each other and you used to be like this, either find a way to get back to this or find a way to get somebody else to be like this with, because life is so short, but you didn't let it get shorter for you when they told you you have
yeah,
this much time to live. You said,
yeah.
wait a minute, not me.
No, and that was it. I mean, there was still so much more to do. And then I even look back sometimes and I really get choked up. I had done a talk at a women's empowerment event and I did a talk of just that if I would have given up at that moment, I posted a whole bunch of pictures and it was everything from my
Mhm,
granddaughter being born, my daughter getting married, my son getting married,
mhm.
sunsets on a beach, all this stuff. And you just start to look at all the things you could miss, and I mean, it's not always beautiful when you're going through treatments and you're going, through all the many things to try to get yourself out of that rut that you're in. But you know what? It's worth it on the other side. It
It
just
is.
is. And I look forward to, I mean, gosh, we went to a birthday party this weekend for one of our friends, and it was a soprano theme party. And I
Mm,
went all out. Wait till you see it. You
nice.
gotta look me up on social media later when I post that. My big red
Cool.
hair, and my son was calling me Trish all day. So, you got to have fun in life. You just do, you just have to make the most of everything and just have fun. And
You mean like the postcard you sent for Christmas? That was such a fun card.
yes, there's no surprise that my family likes a good theme and costume. So yeah, we had some fun this year. We did an 80s theme and we literally didn't go to Amazon and get our 80s clothes. No, we went to like thrift stores and actually picked up 80s clothes. And
Nice.
the sad part was my hair actually looked like that in high school, Raphael. But yeah, no, it is. And that's why I think just even like in the book, I put my toolbox of things, I put all the things that I used. It's not going to be what's going to work for you, but there is a battery of stuff I did. I swear I did not leave one stone unturned. So I know that there is something that somebody could use that will help them. And even since then, I've done so many more things, which is why I'll be writing more books about it,
Yeah.
because there's just so much more info I want to get out there, because there's things I would have never thought to try and use. And
Mm.
yet I did. I mean, I had all my blood taken out and cleaned
Oof.
and put back in.
Wow.
Did it
Wow.
work? It was expensive for a short-lived
Yeah.
period. So honestly, eat an anti-inflammatory diet. It'll be so much better
Yeah.
for you.
So talk to about the habits, right? That some people, because I don't believe that we can get rid of a habit. What we have to actually do is replace a habit.
Absolutely.
What is it about a habit that can either hurt us or heal us,
Ah.
that you found that helped you along the way?
Yeah, I think you said it just right. And in the holistic world, we call it crowding out. So you crowd out the bad things with a healthier thing. So we, with food or habits or any other thing that we do, it is about getting rid of them, but replacing them with something else. And, I think for me, it was replacing some of the foods I was eating, some of the, for me, it was mostly the foods, honestly. It was
Mhm.
that was making me inflamed. And then the inflammation can just take over and create disease. So for me, it was a matter of getting rid of things. I think whenever I tell people that, they think I had some huge transformation, that like overnight I stopped drinking, I was doing drugs, all these things. And I'm like, no, there was none of that. I mean, yeah, we all have drinks, right? It's just, it's lifestyle, but it's simply that, it's lifestyle. And it's changing, like, what is worth it? Are there times when I'm like, you know what, that piece of cake, I used to eat cake for dinner. Cake was
Mm.
a food group in my house. My kids would love it when my husband was out of town, because I would go to Vaughn's and come back, go, it's cake time. And we would have a cake because I loved cake. So it was
Mm.
like, I don't need dinner. I'm going to eat that. So nutrition is key. For me, it was that. It was eliminating all of that. I'm a sweet fiend. And even now, some things are just too sweet for me. But are there times when I'm like, you know what? It's my granddaughter's birthday and I'm going to have a piece of cake to celebrate? Yes. Am I going to eat the whole cake? No. But I'm still
No.
gonna have my cake. We had guests over yesterday swimming in the pool because it was a beautiful day, and they brought pizza. Did I have pizza? Yeah, I did.
Mm.
But I also had some veggies and I had some other stuff. So I
Mhm.
crowded out my 4 or 5 pieces of pizza with bringing in the healthier things and then having one slice. So I mean, I think it's just about that. It's replacing those habits with a smarter choice, and it's going to be different for me than it is for you. Not just because we're men and women, man and woman, we are different people. And my body, something to my body might be poison to you, and something that you love might be poison to me. So you
Mhm.
have to, it's all about bio-individuality. You have to figure out what is right for you. And it's trial and error. It's just simply trial and error. And I went through a lot of trial and error, but found the things that work for me. And I'm also not bound to just eating the same thing every day. I love flavor. I mean, if you see my recipes on my social
Oh,
media,
yeah.
I love food. I am a foodie. I love it, and I love spice, and I love flavor, and I want it to taste good. So I create and steal other people's really good recipes, and I make a variety of foods. I also love to eat with California. We can get everything all
Right.
the time. It doesn't matter if it's middle of December. I can get a watermelon.
Yeah.
So but I try to eat more with the season too, because that's what our bodies were created to do. So why fight it? Why fight what we were literally built for?
Yeah.
So that's kind of my theory on all, on all of that. But yeah,
No,
habits are key. It
oh,
really is.
it's incredible. And I put across the screen, improve your habits to improve your life
Yeah.
is basically what you're saying. If you smoke, you're not gonna taste food
Nope.
the way it's meant to do. If
Right.
you oversalt your food, you're not gonna taste the food. If you add any, so for me, food has and always has been my medicine, right?
Mhm.
It's how I heal, this incredible gift that has been given to me.
Yep. And I agree with that 100%. I mean, food is
Mm.
wonderful, and celebrating with others is a big thing too, right? In all cultures, getting together, eating, dining together, having a meal is family time. Having a meal is fun time, right? It's community. And I think that it doesn't mean that we have to eat poor food doing it. And I'm not saying that if you have to go out and buy expensive food.
Mm.
It's not that. It's just eating the right foods. And I think that food is medicine as well. And I believe too, like you talked about, just the little habits, right? Just adding an extra hour of sleep a night, going to bed a
Mm.
little earlier, right? We talked about that. So I think that just creating a little healthier habit, moving more, getting out
Mhm.
and walking, right? Even if you can just get out and walk around the block. That's yesterday. That's all I had time for. We had guests over, but I literally was like, I got to take my dogs out, ran them around the block and came back. I just got up and moved because I've been sitting by the pool all day. I wanted to move, and they needed to get out. So I think really listening to our bodies, if you're achy, get up and move. If you're hungry, have some water. You don't have to have a box of Oreos, you know? So
What?
I know what? But yeah, no, creating those healthier habits makes such a difference.
Yeah, and a lot of people think that they're hungry, they're actually dehydrated,
Mhm.
right?
They are, yeah, they need to have their water, and I was a
Mm,
chronic not water drinker for a long time. Yeah, see? And I get thirsty because my body now is telling me, "No, no, you need more water." And I do. And sometimes at night I'll chug a huge big thing and then I'm like, "Oh man," and I'm like, "This is why I don't like to drink water so late." But yet my body's like, "No, you need it." And you got to listen. You got to listen to your body.
yeah.
It's
It
telling you
also
lots of things.
yeah, water also helps for clarity,
It does, for
right?
sure. Detoxes your body, clears out all the gunk, makes your brain needs water and it can't be dehydrated. It's going to shrivel up. You need it to be
Mhm.
plump. That's why the Mediterranean diet is so key for brain health too.
Oh, yeah.
You need the oils and all that to keep that stuff
Mhm.
going. It's like an old car. We need to lubricate our bodies. Yeah.
I got MCT oil here, it's sitting here. I have almonds, I have I'm we talked earlier about a fast, right?
Hmm.
And you talked about intermittent fasting, and I'm currently on a fast myself. I do intermittent fasting all week long. But why is that something that somebody should even consider? And I know that you teach them how to do it properly, because here's the thing, right? Somebody said to me not too long ago, "Yeah, I did that fasting," and I said, "Oh, how'd you break your fast? What do you mean break my fast? I ate whatever I wanted." I'm like, "So you mean you derailed all that work that your
Yeah.
body did because you didn't treat it correctly,
Right.
right? So you don't
Yeah.
put sugar in your tank of your car, you put fuel. If you have a high energy, you want high energy fuel, right?"
Oh yeah, we always use that analogy of a NASCAR, right? If you're going to just go pull up at a Chevron and load up some, the cheapest fuel there into a NASCAR, it's not going to work right. It's going to sputter. It's going to break down. It's going to be gunked up in the engine because it's not the right fuel for that. So it's the same thing with your body. Your body was not meant to eat all that junk. So I've recently found intermittent fasting to be helpful. I tried it back in the day when it first
Mhm.
came out. And I
Right.
was like, no, I need to eat. I was hypoglycemic all the time. Well, that's not a good thing to be hypoglycemic. That means there's something wrong with your metabolism in your body. So you have to kind of work into intermittent fasting. You can't just dive in. You have to start slowly. Okay. If you eat like maybe, it's been 8 hours typical since you eat, go to 9, then go to
Mhm.
10, and then go from there. And again, with the women's cycle that we talked about, women need to fast at different times
Right.
because depending upon the type of time it is in your cycle, you may need more estrogen rich food or feed for progesterone or whatever it is. You need to fast with your cycle. And it was something that I had read in a book by Mindy. What was her last name? I
Uh,
can't think. Dr. Mindy.
Dr. Mindy, yeah, yeah,
She's
yeah.
incredible. Yeah, she's incredible. I can't for the life of me right now think of her last name, and the book's not in front of me. But she's incredible, and her Fast Like a Girl book is insane. I love it because it breaks it down for you, and it breaks down the amount of hours you do, and getting
Mm,
yourself into autophagy and cellular rebuild and then full gut resets and then full basically full mind body resets you can get with fasting. And I love it. It makes my brain so clear. I am not hungry most of the time. There are days I wake up, and it's okay if you're watching this and thinking, oh my gosh, I'm always hungry when I fast. That's okay. We have days like that. A
that's right.
natural human body should have days where you are hungrier than other days because your body's doing different things every day. So you have to listen to that again, using that brain and that intuition and that gut. You have to listen to your body and do what your body needs. If it wants more food, try water first, because sometimes it's just your brain saying I'm hungry, but try
Mhm.
some water first. And then if that doesn't help, then go ahead and feed it. But yes, breaking it is important. Breaking it, if you want to continue your muscle rebuild, breaking it with protein is key. And you just can't throw a cookie in right after. You gotta break it with protein, break it with
Right.
veggies, break it with something that's going to be, break it with bone broth, break it with
Mhm.
some things that are going to be the right things to break it with, because it kind of just stops the progress, right? You've done your fasting and then it just stops. But if you want it to continue into muscle rebuild or into cellular rebuild, you have to break it with the right foods.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. One of the things that you talk about also is the best news is that you have the incredible power to change all your habits. But we don't start with all of them, do we? We start with one at a time. Like, oh man, I really like cheesecake, or I have to have a drink when I get home. Um,
Mhm.
but then change that drink to something more healthier.
Mhm.
For example, somebody who's drinking soda, maybe go to Diet Coke, and so that's half a soda, and then maybe go to quarter soda. And so we have to slowly change our habits so they get they get embedded into who we are, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. I tell people all the time, like, even let's just say cauliflower rice scares a lot of people, right?
Mhm.
I've never liked cauliflower rice. I love it now. And my 13-year-old granddaughter made the funniest comment the other day. She said, "You make the best cauliflower rice, Mamo." And I'm like, "What?" And I was like, what a weird compliment. But I take it as a good compliment, because
Mm,
nobody likes cauliflower rice. But people will say, "Oh, I love my white rice." I'm like, and they have diabetes. I'm like, worst thing you could be eating.
yeah,
So I'll say, take half of your rice and mix cauliflower in. We go a quarter, get a
yeah,
quarter of it out, they'll throw a little bit in, and then they start crowding it out, right? That's the
mm.
best way I can explain the crowding out. And then next thing you know, they're like, I love cauliflower rice, right? And it's the same thing.
All
You
of a
say,
sudden,
yeah, and you say it, sodas, there's flavored seltzer waters out there that are great. And even now, sometimes, everybody's drinking those White Claws and all that because they're a smarter choice when it comes to alcohol.
mhm,
But yet I'll even pour myself a little just seltzer water with, the flavored seltzer water, those, and I'll be drinking that and no one knows the difference. They're all,
right,
"Oh, she's drinking at the pool." No, I'm not. I'm drinking a seltzer water. I'm fine. Replacing those things are a big deal. And even that, like, sharing it with your community, sharing it with the people around you, your family, your friends that you hang out with. If you need to make a serious change, I have clients that are like, "Well, all my friends, we go out to pizza every Friday night." And I'm like,
mm,
"Cool, take the toppings off, eat those on top of a salad." And
yeah,
they're like, "Never thought of that." And it's because and I'm like, "Why are you going to ruin your time with your friends? Still go, but tell them what you're doing, because you know what? They probably need to make a change too."
that's
And
right.
you can get that support is it's important. And if they're not supporting you, that's your wrong crowd. You need people who love you and care about you and want you to succeed and want you to feel better and want you to live longer. Those are your people. So if they're giving you a hard time for not drinking, or they're giving you a hard time for quitting smoking, then you're with the wrong crowd.
Yeah, I
Find a
love
new one.
that.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm gonna share a video with you guys to just take a quick peek. First, I gotta find the video. Here it is. You followed the rules, tried the restrictions, counted the carbs, the steps, and the failures. You're not lazy, you're exhausted from doing it all without real change. What if the problem isn't you, but the plan? Sifu's Mind Body Method is a 90-day transformation built on 7 unshakable pillars: mindset, movement, nutrition, hydration, fasting, journaling, and faith. This isn't another shortcut. It's your structure, your strength, your reset. You don't need harder, you need better. Ready to begin? Start today.
How exciting.
I I almost felt like I was watching a commercial for you.
Could have been. Yeah. That's why we're so close, because we have similar mindsets.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I love.
I wanna share with everybody, that you also wrote another book, The Healthy Habits Tracker, right? And look at that beautiful book, people. Look at that.
Oh, thank you.
Beautiful, right? And when we think about that one, right, it's the Healthy Habit Tracker. Why are people so afraid of tracking their food? Is it because it'll tell them the story of who they are?
Yeah. That's really it. Anybody that I talk to, that's their exact thing. They don't want to see what they're doing because they're doing it to themselves and it makes them feel bad. because they're doing it to themselves. And then it's just a vicious, I love that you have that logo, because it is just all a big circle. It's just, you go around it, right? It's like a hamster wheel almost. You just go round and round the same thing. And so they don't want to feel bad when they know that they've been doing it to themselves and sabotaging themselves. But I wrote the habit tracker. The first part of it is just about habits and how to create them and how to make them stick. And then the rest of it is the trackers themselves, 90 days of tracking. And I think that when I can get my clients to sit down and write down every single thing that they put into their mouth, every handful of goldfish off their child's plate, the crusts off their kid's sandwich, all those things, and they can put those down, they realize their issues. And I personally started counting macros recently just because everybody was doing it. And I'm like, I want to try this macro counting thing. I've never been one to do it. I just know that I would get up, I'd eat within an hour of waking, and then I would eat every 2.5 to 3 hours. And it was great for my body. But I've been menopause got me, right? So I just released my menopause bundle actually on my website, but I changed it up a little, and I'm doing intermittent fasting, and I was counting macros. And it was interesting to even myself seeing that what I was eating, I was like, I thought I was eating a really great balanced diet until I looked at what I was eating in my tracker. And I was like, burr, I was like, okay, still too many carbs. Let's go to more cruciferous vegetables, because those I really don't have to count the macros on in, this plan. And more protein was great, but I was only getting like 50 grams of protein some days. And I was like, my God, I need to be over 100, so it's like, it really is insightful. It's insightful. And it really I can find when someone's making just the simplest error that can be tweaked. And as soon as we tweak that little thing by looking at what they're writing, it's like magic. Everything just goes into place at that point.
I love how this book, goals for today, water intake, exercise, sleep, energy, my mood, breakfast, snack. But
it all matters.
The thing. I love it because what happens? People, I don't have time to do this. But guess what? You do. This is what I tell my clients. Take your phone right before you eat, take a picture, and then later on you come back to your tracker and you write down what it was. Because if you forgot, I had pizza for lunch. But at least you can come back and later on, a month from now, say, this is what I was eating, and I stopped eating these things, and wow, look how I feel today.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Yeah. And the biggest thing is most people will sit down at night and fill their tracker out right before they go to bed. So they forget what they do in the morning. And so they'll be like, oh, I didn't have anything in the morning, or, oh, I fasted. And then they'll be like, oh, but wait, I went to Starbucks and I got a Frappuccino. And then you're like, oh my gosh, okay, what size? The biggest one. And you're like, oh, a venti. Okay, let's mark that down. And then they start writing it down. And it's always the handful or the quick thing on the go, a handful of almonds. They're like, oh, it's just almonds, but they're not mapping those calories and the fat and the carbs and all that. So I think that people really do just forget. They forget what they do through the day, because we're all so busy. We're all so distracted, so it's so easy to forget what we do in a day. So the tracker's nice and helpful. Yeah.
I love the tracker, but here's the thing, right?
You got to use it.
Yeah, you have to use it. But so many people follow influencers, and it started where you would see an influencer taking pictures of themselves and all this, but then they're taking pictures of their phone, their foods, and they're posing with their food. But a lot of people follow those influencers, yet they don't follow the best influencer themselves. Because if you put a picture of your phone, later on you can be the influencer for your own. So then you can take the pictures throughout the day. And so what if somebody thinks you're an influencer? Say, yes, I am. I'm influencing the most important person. And then you go back to Shelly's, healthy tracker. By the way, you can get this on Amazon as well. And take a look at this, because you need to be able to purchase this here. Click on it, go to it, get both books. Start with this one. Follow with this one. Understand why you're doing the things you're doing. I encourage everybody to get your book. Shelly, the guide is there to help people. You talked about your toolbox. Why do you call it a toolbox?
Because they're just all the tools and tricks that I had to use to get healthy, and I think we all have toolboxes, they fix things. They
Mm,
they fix things. They're there to help you, when you've got something that's going wrong, your pipe needs a smack, you gotta go grab a wrench, right? So it's all in there, and that toolbox is gonna always be changing for me. So there's gonna be times in my life, and there have been times in my life that certain things worked for me, and I needed to help fix that problem. And then, that same thing maybe wasn't what I needed to fix a different problem.
mm,
So I realized over time, there was the tools I used, and then there's just simply changing your lifestyle. And I can't change my lifestyle unless I use those little tools to make some changes. So, I mean, there were treatments I had done, there were supplements I had taken, there were many different, alternative remedies that I had tried. And even, it literally broke down to, yes, some of those worked, but it came down to me focusing more on my surroundings, it and my exercise, my sleep habits, my
mhm,
water intake, the foods that went into my body. That was really my game changer for me, but I would have never got there if I didn't use the other tools to get me to where I am, knowing that is my lifestyle,
mm.
basically. Yeah, I mean, I think that, they sound so simple when you just roll them off your tongue, but none of those were simple. I was insomniac, but I had to find ways to get me through that. I was taking 2 Ambien a night to go to sleep.
Wow.
2, and it was barely working. My kids were teenagers, it was just that point in their lives, my life, all of that, that it was just very difficult. So, I mean, I had to use different tools to just get myself to sleep more because my body needed sleep.
Mm,
So our bodies are telling us what we need, and sometimes you'll use different tools to get you through it until you can finally get that lifestyle where you feel pretty healthy in what you're doing.
mm.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, I think you and I can talk about this, all day long.
I know.
Um, so why don't we hang around for another 5 minutes, and I would love to, um, rapid fire some questions for you. Um, why do salads taste so boring?
You're just not putting the right stuff on it. Yeah,
Bam, 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 bam. Yes, that's it.
yeah, and it's not coating it with, a freaking half a bottle of, Wishbone yucky stuff. I mean, just getting some lemon on your salad or something nutritious on there. And it's about what you put in it. It needs variety. I go to so many restaurants and you order a salad and you get a plate of lettuce with 1 tomato on top and a side of ranch. And you're like, "Pff, what is this?"
Yeah,
You got to have flavor. I've never liked beets at all. But I'll tell you
neither
what,
have
my body needs beets now. And
I.
beets are incredible for oxidizing the blood. And I recently had a blood clot in my leg after a surgery. It
Mm,
was just a fluke thing. And I crave beets right now.
mm,
That's my body saying you need that to oxidize your blood. So I put beets on everything now. All my salads have beets. And I grew up, my mom ate pickled beets. I thought they were the grossest thing in the world. I would never touch one. And I love them because my body's telling me I need them.
mm,
So, I think that we have to listen to our body. We have to put lots of things in there. Nuts, like you said, right? I do walnuts, I do beets, I do green or red
mhm,
onions, green onions too. But I try to put that flavor in that salad so that
mm.
it's what I want. I crave it now. I love it.
Love it, love it. Why do beets change your urine
The
color?
color? It's the color. Just like we talk about these red food dyes and all these food dyes
Yeah,
that are in the media right now, right? I mean, my granddaughter cannot have red food dye. We know that. She turns on a dime.
right,
It's like her head spins around her body.
yeah,
But I always post a thing at Easter time about coloring your eggs with vegetables
right.
because those natural, colors in those veggies come out. So yeah, that's why everything changes. It's the first
Mm.
time I was like, "Am I bleeding?" No, that's just me.
Yeah, it's very interesting when people eat beets for the first time, they're like, "Something's wrong."
Yeah, or turmeric or, so many different
Yep,
things. They're just like, "What is that?" The color,
yeah,
but it's like that's because that's what it's supposed to do. That's
mm,
the colors that come from nature.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's one thing I don't buy, and it's not in my kitchen, that most people have on their table when they go to have a meal.
Mhm.
Take a guess.
Salt?
Yes.
Yeah.
You hit it dead on. I don't purchase salt at all. There's none in my house. If you ask me for salt, I would have to go looking at neighbors, right? Excuse me, do you have salt?
Yeah.
Why do you need salt? Because food is such a dynamic and incredible, it has such dynamic, incredible flavor, but we mask it with all
Yeah.
these other things.
And we try to enhance it, but what it does is masks it. You're right. I like that term. I do like Himalayan pink salt, like
Oh,
pink salt
yes.
sweet, and I do use that for hydration. So everybody's drinking those hydration packets right now, right? Everybody thinks they need a packet of liquid IV every day.
Oh,
Um,
no.
but you know what? I just do a little bit of pink salt, either in my water or just a little pinch in my, even in my protein shake with chocolate, like my chocolate protein shake. And that's key. And I'll use that instead of hydration. And I need the hydration. I have a problem with my heart, and it's an electrical problem from birth. But if I do a high sodium diet, is what they actually put me on, high sodium or Gatorade. And I'm like, blah.
Yeah,
So I do that
Gatorade.
little bit of hydration every day, and my heart pumps just fine. And I have to apologize. Apparently today, the gas line's being replaced out in front of my house because they just started drilling. So if you hear that drilling, I'm sorry.
I don't hear it, so it's
Oh,
a good
good.
thing.
I'm glad, because I'm like, oh my gosh, it just got really.
Yeah, I like the fact that you brought up the salt, because one of the infusion drinks that I'm having today is pink Himalayan salt, cucumber
Mm.
with coconut water.
Wonder if that's like so hydrating right there. You don't think
Oh,
you can get more hydrated. I love that.
Yeah. Shelly, I am thrilled that you and I are friends. I am thrilled that you wrote this book and you have other books. I am thrilled that you are helping so many people not only lose weight, but do it the right way. People, stop going on these diets. Stop it.
Yeah, I
Stop
know.
it.
I know. And don't get me going on the shot, right? A lot of people need it,
Oh,
but
no,
you know,
no,
they
no.
need
No
it.
Zempic, please,
But yeah,
please. No,
I
no,
know.
no.
I know. There's so many natural ways to do this, and I just wish people would do it, because I worry about what's going to happen later when they figure it all out, right?
It's
So,
already been happening. There's
I
people who
know.
are having young people having osteoporosis because it takes away your muscle and bone density. So
Yeah, their thyroid, everything. It's just, it's awful. But thank you. I absolutely adore you, and you know it. I mean, the second we met, we were just like connected. You know,
yeah,
we knew that just because we share the same, focus in our lives. You know, our health is our priority, and I'm super grateful for you as well.
well, your heart is what really spoke to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yours as well. Yes.
Everybody, do me a favor. Someone out there needs to listen to the messages that were delivered to you by Shelly. And don't be selfish. Share this show with someone. And guess what? I think this show and this episode was so great that I'm going to put it up several times this week, probably every day, in case you missed it. So I'm going to put it up every day this week. It's going to go on a replay. So do me a favor, share it. Such great stuff. And definitely pick up your book. Pick up your book. And if you know how to read, get the book. If you want even deeper, right there, connect with Shelly. It is mywarriorsoul.com. What is it? mywarriorsoul.com. Because if you need someone in your corner, not only that, but she's a high-level martial artist as well. She's got your back. Thank you, Shelly.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on today.
All right. Pleasure. We'll talk soon. Don't go away. You hang on for a minute. Everybody else, will see you soon.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for watching Author's Tales. Stay updated and meet new authors. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Sifu Raphael TV. Follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn, and visit our website. Your support means the world to us.